Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland Reviewer, and welcome to The Wasteland, my weekly show where I take a deep dive into a particular film. And we're in the 1930s, and there's sound.
Finally.
And, yes. Paige is definitely happy that we finally reached some talkies in terms of the world of John Ford as I continue my 80-week journey through his filmography. And we're almost at the 1st December, and we just need to get to a second. But Paige, my friend, thank you so much for coming on for yet another episode of Welcome to the Wasteland, John Ford edition.
Thank you for having me. That pained me to say physically.
Wow. What a friend.
I know.
What are friends for?
I'm a terrible friend.
But for this show, if you have not tuned in to Welcome to the Wasteland before, interesting episode to pick to watch first. We have 3 segments. We have coming attractions for the week of October 20th, 2023. And yet there's only one film that matters, but we'll get to that in a second. And then we'll be talking about our feature film, which is Seas Beneath, or The Seas Beneath, depending on which title you look at. And then we'll have some recommendations for you, which my guess is that they'll be more emphatic recommendations than this particular film. But, you know, you'll make that decision once you actually listen to our thoughts. But starting with coming attractions for October 20th, yes, Taylor Swift has come and made $92 million opening weekend in theaters. And now it's time to have a wide release film that isn't a concert film. And Taylor Swift, will it be able to beat Taylor Swift at the box office? I don't know. But we are indeed finally getting the 3.5-hour epic Killers of the Flower Moon by Martin Scorsese. Paige, why are you excited for Killers of the Flower Moon?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't feel like there's enough good cinema out there about like Native American, indigenous people, and I'm hoping that we get to see some white guys get beat up for racism. I don't know if we will. That's my hope.
There we go. Yeah. Coming from a small 80-year-old Italian-American guy.
Yeah, seriously.
So I'm so excited for Killers of the Flower Moon, which I'll be having a special episode of Welcome to the Wasteland for. Ooh. Because I have highlighted Martin Scorsese on this show before, so any of his new films, which hopefully there'll at least be a few more before he hangs things up, I'm going to be having a special episode with my wife Jess, who's super excited for the film as well.
You're married? I'm just kidding. Jess is my best friend.
But we have Jess read the book way before I did. I just finished the audiobook relatively recently, and I'm very excited to see what Scorsese does with this story. Mm-hmm. Honestly, it could be anything. I'd be excited that Martin Scorsese has a new film coming out.
Sure.
But we also are seeing the first time on screen Leo and De Niro in a Scorsese film together. So that's pretty exciting. And this is the last film scored by Robbie Robertson of the band, who has been working with Scorsese ever since he directed The Last Waltz. He just passed away in March.
Yeah, very recently.
So this is also going to probably be one of the biggest Oscar contenders coming out, going toe-to-toe with Oppenheimer and maybe Barbie.
Hopefully Barbie.
Hopefully Barbie. Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Alan. But there's just so many things I'm excited about this film. And the one thing that I'm sad about this film coming out in theaters is the fact that I can't watch that really awesome trailer in theaters anymore. Because it's legitimately one of the best trailers that actually has been in theaters. And every time I watch it, I get pumped. That and the Dune one, but we'll get months more of that because they pushed that back. But, yeah, that's Killers of the Flower Moon. Mm-hmm. So, are you going to be spending the 3.5 hours in theaters checking it out? Or will you be watching it on Apple TV Plus when it drops on the streaming service? Because it is co-produced by Apple TV Plus. Well, you'll have to make that decision. I'm ready to watch it on, like, the biggest screen possible that I can. So, I'm excited.
I'm going to be watching it. If I can come with you to a screening, I probably will. Otherwise, I'll watch it on Apple TV.
Oh, I couldn't go to the press screening that happened last week because class.
Oh, God damn it. All right, well.
Yeah, it started at 6 o'clock. because this movie's 3.5 hours.
Okay, well, I guess, friendship ended with Shane.
Well,
No, I'm just
I'm
kidding.
assuming this is getting nominated for Best Picture. So come my Oscar party, when we vote on what movies to watch beforehand, we could watch a whole 1.5 movies based off of how long some of these movies are.
I was gonna say, we'll only have time for like 2 movies.
We'll basically just be watching Oppenheimer and Killers of the Flower Moon 6.5 hours later.
I haven't seen... Is Barbie ever gonna come out on streaming? Because I still haven't seen it, and I haven't read any spoilers.
It's coming out... It came out today as we're recording on physical media.
Okay.
And it should be coming out on Max
I was
relatively
gonna say,
soon.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it.
You could rent it. I'm definitely buying that.
Yeah.
Like 100% buying that movie. I could watch that movie like another 5 times, to be perfectly honest. Like right now.
I never got around to seeing it, and then by the time I, like, realized that... Because, like, I see every movie with you guys.
Yes.
Like, I'm, like, incapable of, like, purchasing a ticket by myself. I, like, have to be supervised by these
You could always go see Killers of the Flower Moon with us on Sunday.
This Sunday?
Yeah. But we can talk about that later.
Yeah, you guys don't need to hear our logistic issues.
Time for Seas Beneath, which is a 1931 John Ford film. This is indeed a talkie. It's a pre-code action film. So yes, before, the code made things less fun.
The Hays Code. If you don't know what it is, Google it. We're not here to educate you, okay?
Eventually I'll get there on Cinematic Wasteland, so if you want to learn about film history, you could go to my other podcast, Shameless Plugs All Around.
Love that.
And this film is starring George O'Brien, who is a consistent collaborator, especially around this time period, with John Ford. John Ford and Marion Lessing, who was the lead actress in this film, did not get along, and John Ford was pissed off about her being cast by the studio in this movie. Apparently her gum chewing ruined a shot of 2 boats coming together in a complicated shot, because this film was shot on the ocean. Like, there's a lot of shots actually on the ocean in this movie.
Dead ass on the ocean.
Which, like, there's basically 3 things you don't want to mess with when you make a movie. Water, kids, and animals. Because they complicate everything.
I don't know if I'd use the phrase mess with, but...
You don't want to... They're the hardest things to incorporate into the filmmaking process because they complicate things so much. So, like, this is a 1931 film where they're actually shooting things on the ocean, and you're just like, huh.
Yeah. There were no kids or animals, I don't think.
No, just a lot of probable sex workers.
Yes.
We cannot confirm or deny if those women were indeed sex workers, but they gave up a vibe.
They weren't kids, though, definitely.
Correct.
Yeah.
But Paige, what are your general thoughts on Seas Beneath?
Oh my god. It was yet another tedious John Ford film, sorry.
Which this was a full 91 minutes.
Yeah, we were
it was a legitimate like feature length film at this point.
We're in it now. Yeah, we're in it. No, but it is, I will confess, I'll admit, it's very interesting to see John Ford's, his own progression, but then also, like, I feel like I'm getting a good picture of the history of cinema just in and of itself, like, going on this epic journey with you. But I think now we're finally, we talked about this a little bit, we're starting to get into the realm of, like, more dynamic shots, like, moving away from that static, like, stage-like, play-esque framing. We're starting to get some, like, shots around the corner,
Well, I audibly made a comment while watching the movie of a camera shot of it switches from a camera shot looking off of a balcony to a shot looking down from the balcony as a man jumps off the balcony, which, that was a decent stunt to be pulling off. And then the camera followed him around the corner, looking out onto, like, this beautiful shot of this whole entire coastal city in the Canary Islands out onto the ocean as he was left behind by a ship. But I'm like, wow, like, that's John Ford showing his prowess as, like, a technical filmmaker. Despite the fact that narratively this movie might not have had a whole lot of strengths to it.
Yeah. I feel like that's a theme we keep revisiting, that, like, it's so cool to see the technical stuff he was doing, especially because it's literally brand new. Like, so many of these things he was, like, doing for the first time, or like near to the first time, this is the first time anyone ever did them. But then also it's just like the characters are flat, the narrative is like not there. It's so unengaging, and I feel like we kind of keep saying the same things over and over again, at least when we're talking.
Well, I feel like, so the core of this film is about a U.S. ship hunting down a German U-boat. Mm-hmm. Because this is a film made in Hollywood in the 1930s, they have to force a romance in it. And I didn't buy it for a second. Like, George O'Brien, I think, does a fine job as his captain of being like, I'm a manly man captain.
So he had hair on his chest for sure. Metaphorically, we don't see it.
Lessing, I feel like her acting, there were some choices. In terms of, like, it felt very overly dramatic. And here's the thing. It could still be remnants of, like, going from silent film acting to sound film acting, because you don't have to act like you're on a stage when you could actually say things.
That's true.
And I still think that this film is struggling in these early films of being talkies for John Ford, where there's a lot of dead air. Mm-hmm. There's just, like, dead ambient noise, and you're just like... Yeah, and it's just, like, there's no music to go... Like, in a modern film, there would be music in those moments. Even if it's, like, subtle, at least there'll be sound.
Like, there's something going on.
There's just there's a lot of empty spaces in terms of the music. Mm-hmm. I feel like it leading up to this big climactic battle, which is really well shot. They use a lot of, like, fire and pyro and stuff like that. And the way that it cross-cuts between, like, these giant cannon shooting and all these things, that really works. Except that's the last 15 minutes of the movie. And you have to get to the hour and 15-minute mark. And sure, there's some interesting interactions between, like, the German U-boat captain and the American captain. But, like, this whole entire... Like, there's a part where I'm like, is this turning into a quadrangle or something going on here? Because, like, there's this woman seducing this American guy, and this blonde woman, Lessing, seducing the captain.
And they all look the same, too. They all have the same face. Like, all the women, all the men, they all look the same to me. I don't know.
At least, like, between those two women, one of them was blonde. One of them was a brunette.
That's true. Okay, fair enough. But that was it. That was the only...
And, like, the only part where, like, it seemed like there's... Like, their first interaction, he does some, like, serious flirting. It's like, because he's not allowed to take a picture of the ship, is like, well, can I take a picture of you? And then, of course, they, like, take a picture like this in front of the ship, and he's like, get me the pictures later. And it's just, like, obviously he was trying to, like, spy on this U-boat and everything.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just like,
not
subtle.
Yeah, it's not. It's not subtle.
No,
it's
and,
not.
Like, when it's being this action movie, it's better. When it's trying to incorporate this romance, I don't buy it.
No.
And there's been only a few of these romances in these early John Ford films that I felt like I bought. This wasn't one of them. And I feel like it just drags down the film at the moments where it's focusing on that. But, like, technical aspects, real standouts. Narratively, I think it just takes too long to get to where it needs to go. And that's a shame, because it's, like, finally getting into, like, feature-length filmmaking, and you're like, should it have been a feature-length film?
Yeah, this might have been better off as, like, a 30, 40-minute film, in my opinion.
I feel like, you could have maybe pushed it to close to an hour, but they just waste so... Like, there's just a lot of time that's just not particularly interesting and engaging. One thing that did pop out to me, though, there's a lot of complex, like, background shots going on.
That's true.
Where there's a lot of interactions, and it's a lot more interesting than you seeing, like, a matte painting in the background. Or, like, a flat background where there's not a lot of people.
Right.
Like, when you start getting into that, there's a lot more complexities to being able to put a film together when you have so much going on.
Yeah.
But overall, this is not one of my favorites so far that I've watched of John Ford's films. I feel like there's only 2 or 3 of them that I really loved, and only one in particular that I would really consider, like, a great film. and this wasn't one of them. But we'll have to see as we go through the 1930s, because at some point I'm going to reach Stagecoach in a couple months.
Yeah.
But Paige, do you have any other thoughts about Seas Beneath?
Oh, God. Oh, I wanted to comment on two things. One, there were several instances where characters were speaking in German and we were not given subtitles, so that was, I think that it happened like several times. Like it wasn't.
It happened
just
a
one
decent
time.
amount.
Yeah,
it took until like halfway through the film for them to decide to start putting like dialogue cards occasionally and stuff like that.
But it didn't even translate everything. It was it was a title card that had like one sentence.
I think it was one of those choices where like, I don't know how essential to what they were saying, I guess, was. I think that was the argument.
We'll never know. We'll never know what they were saying.
Exactly. This is the way I speak German.
Yeah. I mean.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Someone speaks German. I don't. Yeah, that was annoying. I was like, okay, no, it's not me either. The other thing was like, this was like, I think unintentionally hilarious, but there's a part where like I believe it's the U-boat is like sinking, and there's like a whole group of like the German.
They're just like huddled around. They're just like slowly falling into the sea.
The German sailors, they're like, I guess they're like about to die, like drown, and they're all just like standing around like they're at the bar on a Thursday night and like shaking hands, and I just like burst out laughing because I'm like, this is not.
Yeah, the group of sailors at the end as they were literally sinking into the ocean was pretty entertaining.
It was so
then
weird.
They cut to like a memo being like the body people retrieved. Apparently they survived.
Yeah, they were like prisoners, I guess. But in the moment though, I'm saying they seemed like they thought they were gonna die, and they were just like thrilled about it. They loved it.
Good time, boys.
Yeah.
Good work. Nice living with you.
They didn't seem upset like at all, which I guess like living in the 1910s probably fucking sucks.
I kind of feel like it was supposed to be at least a little humorous.
Maybe. I don't know. I can't
don't know John Ford's intentions, so
no.
It did get like a bit of a reaction from me too. I'm just like,
it was so odd.
Go.
And it was
goodbye,
like,
fellas.
Yeah, it was. I don't know, but no. I mean, the Spanish flu was going on. World War I. Like, I'm sure, like dying wasn't like the worst thing that could happen. Yeah, but those are also two moments that I noted. But I am still waiting to get to the John Ford era where I enjoy myself. And if in December 2024 that never happens, I'll be kind of sad. But you know, life is a highway,
and we're on ride it.
No.
All night long.
And we're stuck in bumper to bumper traffic. Or at least I am.
That's what my drive home felt like today.
Yeah.
It was a horrible commute home. But anyway.
Less boring than a John Ford movie, though.
But we do have some things that we actually want to recommend to
Yay!
you. So, Paige, what would you like to recommend to everybody?
Okay, yay. Something I actually want to talk... Well, no, I like talking, period. But I binge watched The Fall of the House of Usher on Netflix. That just came out a couple days ago.
Within the last week as we recorded those.
So I binge watched it. It was great. It was by Mike Flanagan, who did like Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor. What else did he do?
Midnight Mass.
Yes,
oh my God.
I loved that too. So yeah, this is definitely would recommend. It's genuinely scary, which I don't say a lot because I've seen every horror movie. So just like if you're like, this is actually scary, so be warned. And it's only very loosely based on the Edgar Allan Poe short story, but there are lots of like Edgar Allan Poe like Easter eggs and stuff, which I love that kind of shit, so I was eating it up. But it was so good, I binge watched it in like a day, and I would highly recommend if you're looking to be scared. And it's also very gory, I will warn you. There's a lot of like eye stuff. It's nasty. So like if you're like me and you like love to be repulsed, this is a show for you. If not, maybe stick to Teletubbies.
Oh, okay. I'm very much looking forward to watching The Fall of the House of Usher.
Yeah, you'll like it.
I'm a huge Mike Flanagan fan. This is sad that this is his last Netflix series.
What?
Well, he is jumping ship. He left Netflix after they canceled his last show.
After they canceled Midnight Mass?
No, what was it, The Killers Club or something like that?
The Midnight Club.
The Midnight Club, yeah.
I liked that too.
They canceled that after one season because that was supposed to have other seasons.
Oh, really? That was kind of weak.
So he jumped ship to Amazon.
Okay.
And they're probably going to be making a whole entire saga of the Dark Tower.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, I'll watch anything if he does.
Anybody were to make a Dark Tower saga series, I want it to be Mike Flanagan.
Totally.
After he made Dr. Sleep, I'm like, only Frank Darabont and Mike Flanagan should adapt Stephen King novels. So
fair enough.
But I'm very excited to check that out. My 3 recommendations, so new film, Strange Way of Life, which is Almodovar's new gay cowboy romance short film.
Oh, with Pedro
Pascal and Ethan Hawke.
Daddy. Oh, where can I watch this?
It was in theaters.
Oh, okay. It'll be on some streaming eventually.
I think it'll be on Max eventually because Almodovar's last short film, The Human Voice, which they're playing with in theaters, so it's 2 half-hour films. That's already on Max, so I would assume that Strange Way of Life would wind up on Max too.
Okay.
But I really liked it. I thought it was really well done. Pedro Pascal and Ethan Hawke were great together, and their long lust love affair re-sparking and then getting complicated is an interesting tale over 30 minutes to the point where I wish it was an actual feature-length film.
Oh, was it like Brokeback Mountain? Like, how similar was it to Brokeback Mountain?
Well, this is set in the traditional Western times. This isn't a neo-Western
80s, 1890s.
Yeah, so it's actually in the 1800s. It's very colorful because it's an Almodovar film. So if it didn't have beautiful greens and reds, I don't know what the hell I'd be watching.
So true.
And they get right to the gay within first 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Well, because it's only a 30-minute movie, so they have to get to
that's true.
Get to things.
We love a man that doesn't waste any time, though.
It's one of the kinds of things where it's just I think only the fact that it's a Western and has 2 gay cowboys in it is Brokeback Mountain's not similar story-wise or anything like that. Because their situation certainly gets complicated, which I will not spoil.
Okay.
So if you can find it when it comes out on streaming, or if it's still in a theater near you, deserve some love.
Okay.
My next one from my watch list was the 20th Century, and this is an abstract surrealist art house film from 2020 that is loosely based off of the founding of Canada, and it is a weird ass movie. This movie is weird. It was crazy. It had the way that it shot, it wasn't dissimilar to how Kung Fury has this really weird low budget 80s kind of feel to it. It's such a it's so idiosyncratic, it's hard to explain. But if you love film and you're open to strange, abstract, surreal kind of cinema, definitely check out the 20th Century.
Okay.
And then what my main rewatch that I wanted to recommend to everybody was The Exorcist. Because
I just rewatched that too! Twinsies!
Very nice. This is one of my top 5 favorite faith-based films, because this is actually a really interesting look at a priest who is struggling with his own faith and has to basically find his faith again to be able to save this young woman who is possessed by Pazuzu.
That sounds like the inbred cousin of Kazoo.
The name might not sound very intimidating, but boy, does Pazuzu mess some shit up.
It's scary, yeah.
This film just has great atmosphere. William Friedkin did such a great job directing this film. Max von Sydow, who, I've only watched the director's cut, which has a lot more of him in it.
Oh, really?
The theatrical cut, he's barely in the movie.
Really?
He only shows up towards, the end.
I've only seen the director's cut too then, I think, because
the whole thing where he's investigating in Assyria and stuff like that at the beginning's not in the original film.
What?
Yeah.
That's fun. That's a fun part. Alright, whatever, that's dumb.
So, but Ellen Burstyn, so fantastic. And boy, did they do her dirty, bringing her back in The Exorcist Believer. What a disappointing sequel.
I've never seen that, and I don't.
Well, it's
plan
funny.
on
Jess
it.
and I Jess picked to watch The Exorcist 2: The Heretic, which might have been one of the worst horror movies I think I've ever watched in my life. So, would not recommend the sequels to The Exorcist, but the original one is a classic and still is haunting with its imagery and just...
I agree.
Creepy. And has a lot to say.
Yeah.
And it also shows a very interesting look at more or less a single mother and the struggle of trying to support your child when you're not quite sure what's wrong. And I've never had a child, nor will I ever be a mother, but I could imagine like this film really captures that horrible feeling of helplessness. And you could really feel that in Burstyn's performance. Such a great film.
I think
It's
any
a classic.
parent could relate to that.
Yeah.
I don't think just because you're
It's just,
dad,
it's
you're
just
like,
in this movie, it's a deadbeat dad
no. I get it.
who's nowhere to be found.
But I think any parent could relate to that, in my opinion. Oh, I will say, I know this like isn't the point. I know I'm missing the point, but if I was a priest and I saw a full-ass demon like you see in The Exorcist, I would simply regain my faith. Because I'm just seeing a demon right in front of me. So it's like, all right, well, I guess I'm right about all this.
Well, I think that's the journey that he goes on. Is like, is this real?
I'm just being
because
annoying.
he's investigating, which he certainly finds his faith when he actually sees what the hell's going on.
Okay, but it's like obviously real. I'm just saying. To me, I'd be like, all right, well, like I guess Catholicism is real. I'm on the winning team. Deuces. Like I don't know, but R.I.P. to Max von Sydow, but I'm different.
The power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels you. Is it really that compelling? That's one of my favorite spoofs in the history of film is the exorcism of Jonah Hill in This Is the End.
Oh, I was going to say.
Oh my god, it's amazing. Also, they had a really messed up spoof of Rosemary's Baby in that movie, too. They went all out. But, Paige, thank you so much for coming on for yet another episode of Welcome to the Wasteland.
You're so welcome, Shane.
And thank all of you out there for always tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.